The affordable smartphone market is bewildered with plenty of entries from all over, but let's be honest, most of the big gun companies like Samsung, HTC, and LG stay far away. But not Motorola. They see this as an opportunity to reinvigorate their brand in markets close to home and far abroad. And that's basically the story of the brand new Moto E. In its second incarnation, it brings new technologies like faster 4G LTE connectivity, a larger display, an improved design, and the latest in Android software. My name is Marco Hanna, and welcome to the review of the Moto E second generation, and it all starts now. Motorola's design language is fairly clear through all their products, and I have to give credit to them for keeping the language very similar across their product range of low-end to premium handsets. It's definitely a textbook approach to design, but there's plenty of attention to detail even here on a handset that costs no more than $130. Overall, the Moto E has grown quite a bit, both in length and width. It now houses a 4.5-inch display, although it has the same QHD display resolution, and for those who don't quite remember that resolution, the numbers are 960 by 540. Sadly, this does decrease its pixels per inch slightly over the last generation Moto E. Instead, Motorola focused on the hardware inside and the user interface. First off, the hardware has been completely upgraded. The processor is now a 1.2 GHz quad-core Snapdragon 410 processor alongside 1 GB of RAM and the Adreno 306 GPU. This chip actually outperforms the Snapdragon 400 processor found on the larger and more expensive Moto E second generation. Next is the size of the battery. It's bigger, much bigger than the last generation phone, now coming in at a huge 2,390 mAh battery. With the battery of that size and the lower resolution of the LCD display means battery life is pretty damn good. I've easily gotten over a full day of usage of around 5 hours of screen on time, and if you are extremely liberal with your usage, you may be able to get even more out of this battery. But I think the biggest update to hardware is something that we all overlook, the 4G LTE radio, which is more specific to the US with our existing networks. This gives people access to much faster data for our networks, and it's a much better deal than the existing Moto G with just a normal 3G radio. Now, for those who live in areas where 4G LTE is not available, you can still run this thing on 3G, but they also make a specific 3G model for areas abroad. Now, the other piece of the puzzle to this phone is the software. Usually when you purchase a low-cost smartphone, it's filled with bloatware and crummy software. Not this one. This runs Android 5.0.2 Lollipop with a slight, and I mean very slight, customization from Motorola. But it's very hard to even tell, and the only customization found is in things like Moto Actions, Moto Assist, and the Moto Display. Now, these are very helpful features that I definitely loved in the much more expensive Moto X, and they are all here on the very, very affordable Moto E. The overall Lollipop experience is very untouched. It's smooth enough to be a daily driver even for someone like me. Now, this is no octa-core monster, but it will deal with your average applications like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all of those will run perfectly fine. Now, you do run into a few issues when you head into Chrome, especially on content-rich sites like phonedog.com, for example, and it's definitely not a local problem for this phone. It happens to a lot of different phones, even very powerful devices as well. But overall, I'm very pleased by the everyday performance of this phone. Lastly, I have to mention the camera. It may be the worst part of this phone, but I think that's completely acceptable. We have a small 5 megapixel sensor camera on the rear and a hilariously small 0.3 megapixel front-facing camera on the front, which wasn't there last year. It's an oversight for sure, but again, think about how much this phone costs. It definitely fits the bill for one of the best, if not the best, affordable smartphones around. I say buy this over the brand new Moto G second generation if you live in the States and can live with a smaller display and a lower resolution. But you get the same experience of software among a lot of other things. But let me know what you think of the Moto E down below in a comment. Would love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up. And as always, my name is Marco Hanna, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.